I died because a delivery truck dropped a refrigerator on my head. 18 years later, in another world, Greyhaven Academy tried to kill my future with a cracked crystal. The crystal sat on a silver stand in the center of the awakening hall. It had one long fracture through its heart. Someone had tied the two halves together with copper wire. It looked less like a sacred relic and more like a potato that had survived a war. 300 students watched me walk toward it. An hour earlier, my score of 940 out of 1,000 had earned first place, a full scholarship, a dormitory room, and the pure awakening crystal. Then Bryce arrived with his father and 12 guards. Dean Ulrich erased my name, gave Bryce my crystal, and sent me to the cracked reserve. Ulrich called it an administrative correction. I called it theft inside my head. Saying it aloud would only give the guards something to do. Bryce placed his hand on the pure crystal. Golden light filled the hall. The judges announced that he had awakened as a flame swordsman, an uncommon combat class. His friends cheered before the judges finished speaking. Bryce turned to me and tapped the gold badge on his chest. "Try not to break your crystal, Riven. The Academy already spent 3 copper coins repairing it." The crowd laughed. The joke was not clever, but Bryce was rich. Wealth made even weak jokes walk around with bodyguards. I put my palm on the cracked crystal. For one breath, I saw a tree. It rose higher than the hall. Silver branches crossed the ceiling and vanished into darkness. I saw swords, shields, runes, beasts, healing light, and thousands of paths I could not name. At the crown waited 3 black stars. The words Branchmaster, Profession Creator, and Perfect Warrior burned inside them. Then a pair of dark shears closed around the trunk. The vision vanished. The crystal released a tired gray spark. "Class confirmed," Dean Ulrich said. "Ordinary warrior." Silence lasted half a second. Then the hall exploded with laughter. An ordinary warrior was not rare. It was not even slightly unusual. Every village had several. They carried shields, guarded wagons, and stood near doors so important people did not have to. The public class board changed above the stage. Bryce entered the academy ranking at number 12. My name fell from first in the entrance examination to number 1,204 in awakened potential. There were only 1,204 students. That required talent of a special kind. Ulrich handed me a gray badge. "Your scholarship was reserved for a promising combat profession. An ordinary warrior does not qualify." "The written agreement says the scholarship belongs to the highest entrance score," I said. His smile grew thinner. "The final classification is decided by the Academy." Behind him, Bryce held up the key to the room that had been mine. "You may remain if you pay 30 gold within 7 days, Ulrich continued. "Your dormitory access ends tonight. The labor office can probably find you a position carrying practice shields." 300 people heard him. The ranking crystal recorded every word. No one could pretend the humiliation had happened in private. I looked at the cracked crystal again. A thread of silver light still moved inside it. The young evaluator beside the stand saw it too. Her name badge read Iris. She had dark hair, steady gray eyes, and ink on 2 fingers. While the other assistants laughed with the students, she leaned close to the crystal and counted the flashes. Her expression changed after the 20th. "Dean," she said, "the crystal produced a secondary root response." Ulrich covered the fracture with his hand. "Old crystals produce noise. Noise does not repeat in sets of 32. The hall became quieter. Ulrich turned his smile toward her. It was the kind of smile a wolf might use before explaining that sheep were an important part of nature. "Evaluator Iris, record the confirmed result." She looked at me once. Then she wrote "Ordinary Warrior" in the register. I did not blame her. Ulrich owned the register, the hall, and most of the people carrying swords inside it. I left with a grey badge, no room, no scholarship, and 5 silver coins in my pocket. Bryce called after me. The training yard needs someone to polish targets. I kept walking. In my previous life, shouting at a refrigerator would not have stopped it from falling. I had learned the same rule applied to rich idiots. At sunset, I carried my belongings from the East Dormitory to an abandoned equipment shed behind the training arena. My entire fortune fit into one blanket. 2 shirts, 1 pair of boots, a dull practice sword, a metal cup, 5 silver coins. 30 gold equaled 3,000 silver. I was short by only 2,995. Yes, the shed had a roof, if a person was generous about the word roof. Moonlight entered through 6 holes. Wind entered through all the others. I sat on an overturned bucket and touched the grey badge. The world went silent, and silver roots spread across my vision. This time the tree remained. The ordinary warrior stood at its base. 3 public branches grew above it: swordsman, spearman, guard. Every student knew those choices. At level 10, a warrior selected 1. The other 2 closed forever. Behind them waited hidden branches. There were 4,096 that I could see. Rune Knight, Beast Knight, Mercy Guard, Spellbreaker, Dragon Lancer, Battle Cook. I stared at the last one for a moment. Somewhere in history, a warrior had apparently defeated Dinner. Far above those branches waited the 3 black stars I had seen in the crystal. All were locked. The path to each contained hundreds of conditions. The system named my single authority unrestricted branching. It gave no strength or skills. It broke one rule. A person could normally walk 1 path. I could walk them all. I checked my starting resources. I had 20 growth marks, strength of 10, endurance of 9, speed of 11, mana of 2, and defense of 3. The first sword student node cost 10 marks. The first heavy guard node also cost 10. The 2 nodes were mutually exclusive. I chose both. Pain ran through my arms and chest. It felt as if 2 invisible instructors had decided to improve me by beating me with chairs. My muscles tightened. My balance shifted. The dull sword in my hand suddenly felt lighter. The system told me my strength had risen from 10 to 18. My endurance had risen from 9 to 17. My defense had risen from 3 to 15. I swung once. The blade cut through the wooden bucket beneath me. I landed on the floor with half a bucket attached to my trousers. The door opened. Iris stood outside holding a lamp and a leather case. She looked at me. Then she looked at the broken bucket. "Was it dangerous?" she asked. It knew too much. For the first time that day, she smiled. She entered and closed the door. The leather case contained a portable measuring stone. Academy property had a silver seal on the side. "I checked the awakening record," she said. The cracked crystal registered more than 4,000 root echoes before Dean Ulrich cleared its memory. 4,096. Her lamp stopped moving. "You saw them? Could them?" "I still do." I told her the simple version, but kept the 3 black stars private. Trust was valuable, so I did not spend all of it at once. Iris placed the measuring stone on a crate. "Strike it." I hit it with my fist. The stone flashed 18 times. "Your recorded strength was 10 this morning," she said. "It improved." "In 6 hours?" I ate an apple. She gave me a flat look, a very determined apple. I drew my sword and took the opening stance of a sword student. Then I planted my feet in the defensive posture of a heavy guard. Iris stepped back so quickly that she hit the door. Those foundations cannot exist together. The first choice seals the second. Mine did not. She walked around me twice, watching the silver measuring stone. It showed both class signatures. Her face lost all color. "Do not tell Ulrich." That was already my plan. No, Riven. I mean, do not let him suspect anything. He erased the root response before the senior judges could inspect it. He knew what he was hiding. Before I could answer, bells rang from the arena. A voice rolled across the grounds through amplification crystals. Open strength trial begins in 10 minutes. Lord Bryce has offered 5 gold to any ordinary warrior who scores more than 100 points. Iris looked toward the arena. He is celebrating. Good, I said. I need 5 gold. The arena held almost every student who had not gone to dinner. Bryce stood beside the impact construct in polished red armor. His new flame swordsman badge shone on his chest. The impact construct was a 6-foot block of iron with arms, legs, and the friendly shape of a cabinet with anger problems. Students had to survive 3 attacks and strike its core. Speed, defense, and damage produced a combined score. Bryce had scored 186. He had already ordered the board to display his result in gold. When I entered, laughter moved through the seats. Bryce spread his arms. "The final challenger has arrived. I respect your courage, Riven. It is much larger than your future." His friends laughed again. I walked to the judge and placed my gray badge on the registration stone. "The offer is public?" I asked. The judge glanced at Bryce. Bryce tossed a pouch onto the table. 5 gold. If you score more than 100, it is yours. If you fail, you will polish my armor for a month. "No," I said. The laughter stopped. Bryce blinked. "No?" "Your first offer contained no penalty. 300 witnesses heard it. The announcement crystals recorded it." Heads turned toward the 4 recording stones around the arena. Iris stood beside one of them with her arms folded. The judge coughed. "The challenger is correct." Bryce's smile tightened. "Fine, begin." The construct moved. Its first iron fist came at my head with 40 points of force. That was enough to throw an ordinary first-level warrior across the yard. I activated Heavy Guard and caught the blow on my forearm. The impact drove my boots 2 inches into the sand. Pain climbed to my shoulder, but I stayed upright. The defense crystal flashed 60 points. The audience stopped laughing. The construct swung from the other side. I stepped inside the strike using sword student footwork. The metal hand missed my nose by the width of 1 finger. The speed crystal flashed 72. Someone in the front row stood up. The construct raised both fists for its final attack. Holding 2 incompatible branches at once burned through my stamina. I had less than 20 breaths before my legs failed. I did not need 20. I released Heavy Guard. My body became lighter. I shifted every remaining point into Sword Student, drew the dull practice blade, and struck the seam below the construct's chest plate. The sword entered 3 inches. The damage crystal flashed 85. The total board remained dark for a long second. Then silver numbers appeared, 217. The entire arena went quiet. Bryce stared at my score, then at his own 186. His golden result suddenly looked like an expensive sign pointing towards second place. The ranking board trembled. My name rose from number 1,204 to number 96. The reaction came all at once. Students shouted. Several ran down from the seats to inspect the construct. A senior guard demanded that the judge test the core again. 2 instructors argued over my stance. Someone in the back began taking bets on whether I was secretly 2 people wearing 1 coat. The judge tested the construct. It was working correctly. He tested my badge. It still said Ordinary Warrior. That made the crowd louder. I held out my hand to Bryce. 5 gold. His face had turned the color of his armor. "That score is impossible. It is also larger than yours." The front rows laughed. This time, money did not help his joke. Bryce looked toward Dean Ulrich, who had appeared at the upper entrance. Ulrich did not speak. Too many recording crystals were active. Too many students had heard the terms. Bryce pushed the pouch against my chest. "Enjoy it. 30 gold is still far away. It is closer than it was 10 minutes ago." I counted the coins in front of the judge. 5 gold. Real weight, real progress. My money had gone from 5 silver to 5 gold and 5 silver. My rank had climbed by 1,108 places. One day earlier, I had believed death by refrigerator would remain the strangest event of my life. I had been too optimistic. Iris met me outside the arena. She led me through a side street to a small dining house beside the academy wall. The sign above it showed a smiling soup bowl. Greta, the owner, served us thick beef noodles in dark broth. Steam carried the smell of pepper, roasted garlic, and slow-cooked onions. The beef fell apart under my fork. Warm bread arrived with melted butter, followed by sliced apples covered in honey and cinnamon. After a day of public humiliation and an iron cabinet trying to remove my face, the first spoonful almost made me emotional. Iris pretended not to notice. "You held both branches for 43 seconds, she said. "Then your pulse doubled." "So my current limit is less than a minute? And if you force it?" "I fall down. Most enemies become less dangerous when viewed from the floor." She laughed into her tea. For a little while, the academy felt far away. Greta packed leftover bread for me without charging. Iris found an old blanket in the back room. I paid 1 silver for dinner and left a second coin on the table. 5 gold would not save my scholarship, but it bought food, time, and proof. When I returned to the equipment shed, the moon had risen above the arena. I lay beneath 2 blankets and opened my branch vision. Silver roots spread beneath Greyhaven. Every student had a separate trunk, but below ground their roots touched. Far away, Serena's sword tree shone brightest. Then a black shape moved below her dormitory. It looked like a pair of enormous shears. The blades closed. One of Serena's brightest branches fell into the darkness. At the same moment, a thin black root dragged the stolen light toward the office of Dean Ulrich. Serena forgot how to hold a sword the next morning. Before 200 students, she entered the academy's hardest opening stance and stared at her hands as if they belonged to someone else. Her right foot moved 6 inches too far. Her wrist turned late. The practice blade struck the ground. Serena had led the Academy swordsmen for 2 years. Her public sword resonance had fallen from 82 to 19. The whole yard saw it. Bryce smiled, but his eyes moved toward Dean Ulrich first. Ulrich examined her for 10 seconds. Training exhaustion, her ranking is suspended. "My stance is gone," Serena said. "Skills do not disappear." Ulrich said it with the calm confidence of a man who had personally watched one disappear. I opened my branch vision. Serena's sword tree had a fresh black wound near the trunk. Silver light leaked from it and ran under the yard toward Ulrich's boots. Iris stood beside the measuring table. She could not see the black root, but one look at the fallen number told her enough. Ulrich ordered the next student forward, as if 3 years of work had not vanished. Serena remained in the center of the yard. Yesterday's admirers avoided her eyes. Ranking board friendship always left before the number finished falling. I picked up her sword. "Your grip was correct," I said. She looked at me. "It did not feel correct." "That is different. You are the ordinary warrior from yesterday." Today, too. She almost smiled, but anger won. Did you come to enjoy the view? No, I came to tell you that exhaustion does not leave a black scar on a class route. Her breathing stopped. A girl in a green coat turned toward us. She was Hazel, heir to the oldest druid family in the north. She knelt and placed 2 fingers on the soil. There is a damaged root here, she whispered. I cannot see whose it is, but something was pulled away. Serena stepped closer. Can you return it? Hazel shook her head. Druids see the roots of life. Class roots are older. We are taught never to touch them. Ulrich looked back from the measuring table. I closed my vision. Then we need evidence before we touch anything, I said. Serena took her sword from me. Tell me what to do. My status had improved. My financial situation had not. At noon, the payment office refused my 5 gold and 5 silver. Greyhaven accepted only the full 30 gold, although it had shown no such love for completeness when giving me a crystal. The beast trial began that afternoon. It was normally restricted to beast tamers, rangers, and rare combat classes. This year, Greyhaven had opened it to everyone because the north enclosure needed cleaning and unpaid student labor was a proud academic tradition. First prize was 20 gold. Second prize was leather boots, which would help only if the payment office developed an interest in footwear. I registered alone because 3 possible teammates rejected an ordinary warrior. Rolf, the wide one-legged arena keeper, stamped my badge and called a solo entry, both legal and stupid. At Greyhaven, those conditions often belonged together. The north enclosure held forest, stone fields, and fenced monster habitats. Recording crystals showed every team to spectators on raised platforms. Every team had 1 hour to collect beast marks. A harmless capture earned 5 points, a controlled combat capture earned 20, and harming a protected young beast meant disqualification. Bryce entered with 3 noble flame swordsmen in matching red coats. Together they looked like expensive peppers. He saw me and laughed. Did your team get lost? They found better walls. You will not last 10 minutes alone. The nearest recording crystal turned toward us. I looked directly into it. You said something similar yesterday. Laughter rolled from the spectator platforms. Bryce's smile vanished. The bell rang. I entered the forest at a steady pace. I did not chase the first monsters I saw. 2 stone rabbits were worth 5 points each, but catching them would take time and provide little experience. I followed broken branches toward the deeper pins. My branch vision showed the natural routes left by passing beasts. I could not open their paths, but I could follow them. I captured a shell-backed fox by blocking its burrow and offering dried meat. 5 points appeared beside my name on the public board. Then 10. Then 15. Bryce's team reached 80 before I reached 20. The spectators began losing interest in me. That was useful. I followed a grey route to a young pelt wolf trapped under a cage. 1 hind leg bled beneath smoke-colored fur, and a protection tag hung from its neck. Beside the cage lay a glass vial filled with red liquid. Iris spoke through the recording crystal. That is forbidden rage sap. Do not touch it. I wrapped the vial in cloth and placed it inside my coat. The wolf bared small white teeth when I lifted the cage. Good, I said. You still have opinions. I tore a strip from my sleeve and bound its leg. The protection tag named it Smoke. Its natural endurance measured 42, more than twice mine. Its fear measured higher. Voices approached. Bryce's team entered with a score of 160. He carried another red vial. Step away from the wolf, he said. It is protected. It was protected. The tag broke when the cage fell. The tag was scratched, not broken. Bryce's teammate raised a spear. A pelt wolf gives 30 points if it attacks first. We only need to encourage it. Rage sap is forbidden. His eyes moved to the recording crystal. One of his friends released a pulse of fire. The crystal fell into the grass and went dark. The spectators lost our image. Bryce smiled again. What rage sap? He threw the open vial at Smoke. I moved before it landed. Heavy guard hardened my body. I covered the wolf with my back. Red liquid struck my academy coat and began burning through the cloth. The spear came next. Its point hit my shoulder with 38 points of force. My defense absorbed most of it, but blood ran down my arm. The system recognized a rare action. I had protected a hostile monster from humans while expecting no contract or reward. A hidden path appeared beneath my feet. Beast Knight. The act gave me 15 growth marks. Opening the first node cost all 15. I accepted. A silver line formed between Smoke and me. The bond offered a shared path without command. Smoke looked from my wounded shoulder to Bryce and accepted. His endurance flowed through the branch. Mine rose from 17 to 31. My hearing sharpened. I heard the recording crystal ticking beneath the grass. It was damaged, but not dead. I heard Bryce's heart accelerate. "What did you do?" he asked. I made a friend. "That thing is a training animal." Smoke growled his disagreement. The spear wielder attacked again. I caught the shaft, pulled him forward, and placed him face first in the mud. Smoke darted behind the second student and bit the strap, holding his trousers. The trousers fell. The student stopped fighting for reasons unrelated to honor. Bryce drew his flaming sword. Iris's crystal lifted from the grass. Its image returned to the central screen just as Bryce raised the weapon over a protected young beast. Thousands of spectators saw him. He froze. "This is not what it looks like," he said. I pulled the first vial from my coat. Then I pointed at the second vial beside his boot. "It looks organized." The crowd's roar reached us from half a mile away. Bryce kicked the second vial into the bushes and ran towards the exit. His team followed, including the student who was still holding up his trousers with both hands. Their score vanished from the board. Mine remained at 20. I had exposed cheating, but I had not won the trial. Then every warning bell in the enclosure rang. The rage sap Bryce had kicked away broke against a feeding trough. An adult iron boar drank from it. The beast tore through 2 fences in 7 seconds. It weighed almost a ton. Metal plates covered its shoulders. Its charge carried 120 points of force. It crossed the forest toward the spectator platform like a moving house that had become tired of paying property tax. Rolf ordered an evacuation. Students screamed and packed themselves against the upper rail. Instructors tried to enter the field, but the broken fences triggered the emergency barrier between them and the enclosure. The boar had one clear path. It led through 6 first-year teams who had not yet reached the exit. I could leave. The gate stood 50 yards to my right. Smoke touched his nose to my hand. I activated Beast Knight and Sword Student together. My limit dropped. 3 branches would give me less than 20 seconds. "We do not need to kill it," I told him. Smoke sneezed. I chose to interpret that as agreement. We ran toward the boar. The public board placed a red danger mark beside my name. Every recording crystal turned in my direction. The boar lowered its head. I heard each hoof strike the ground. Smoke's senses showed me the rhythm: left, right, left. A damaged plate covered the beast's front knee. At 10 yards, I activated Heavy Guard. 3 branches burned through my body, strength 18, endurance 31, defense 15. Not enough to stop 120 points of force. I didn't try. At the last instant, Smoke crossed in front of the boar and snapped at its wounded leg. The beast shifted 1 foot to avoid him. I struck the damaged plate with the flat of my blade. The charge turned 6 degrees. 6 degrees was enough. The boar missed the trapped students and hit a stone water basin. The basin exploded. Water covered the clearing. The boar rolled onto its side, stunned but alive. My 3 branches released at once. I dropped to 1 knee. For a moment, no one made a sound. Then the scoreboard flashed. A controlled rescue of 6 students awarded 120 points. A live capture of an enraged iron boar awarded 80. Protecting a tagged young beast awarded 25. My total rose from 20 to 245. First place. The platform shook under the reaction. Students shouted my name. The 6 people I had saved described the turn, while Rolf confirmed that the boar was alive. Then he walked to Bryce. The recording crystal replayed the throne vial above the arena. Bryce called it medicine. Hazel identified rage sap before the judges, and Iris presented the sealed vial. The trial board marked Bryce disqualified for endangering protected beasts and students. His academy rank fell from number 12 to number 78. Mine rose from number 96 to number 31. Bryce had now lost to an ordinary warrior and a wolf small enough for a laundry basket. Smoke scratched his ear and the crowd laughed. Rolf handed me the prize pouch in front of the recording stones. 20 gold, he said, and permanent responsibility for the wolf. Does responsibility include food? His food is now your responsibility. Smoke wagged his tail. My financial victory had developed expenses. I counted the reward. My money rose from 5 gold and 5 silver to 25 gold and 5 silver. I was still 4 gold and 95 silver short of tuition, but the deadline no longer looked like a mountain. It looked like an unpleasant hill. Beast Night gave me shared endurance, and my status reached the top 31. Then I tried to stand, and my legs stopped working. Ilan, the old academy healer, placed me on a stretcher. 3 class foundations at once, he muttered, while closing the wound in my shoulder. Your muscles are pulling in different directions. Elon charged 2 silver for the bandage and said the pain would last until morning. Iris helped me to Greta's dining house. Smoke, Serena, and Hazel followed. Greta had seen the trial through a public crystal. She put 4 meat pies on our table before we sat down. Their crusts were golden and crisp. Inside were chopped beef, carrots, onions, and thick brown sauce. Roasted potatoes came with salt and green herbs. A bowl of berry cream waited in the center. Smoke swallowed his boiled chicken and looked betrayed when the bowl became empty. Serena moved her spoon with her left hand. Her right still remembered strength, but not precision. You gained a new class path by protecting him, she said. A branch, not a new class. And you can use it beside the sword path. For 20 seconds before becoming furniture. Iris cut my second pie in half and moved it away from me. You are not allowed to become furniture until Elan clears you. That is my pie. It is medical supervision. She ate 1 half. Hazel placed the empty rage vial on the table. Under the warm lamp, a small seal appeared in the glass. It was shaped like 3 roots caught between a pair of shears. This mark is not from an alchemist, she said. It controls the movement of class energy. Serena leaned closer. Whose seal is it? I opened my branch vision. A black thread ran from the vial through the floor and across the academy grounds. It ended beneath Dean Ulrich's office. Iris returned the half pie to my plate. You have the face you make before doing something dangerous. I have only known you for 1 day. You have used that face often. After dark, Hazel took the vial for analysis while Iris and Smoke walked me to the shed. At the shed door, Iris tightened the bandage on my shoulder. "Tomorrow's tournament determines the first-year combat rank," she said. "Bryce will enter. Ulrich will control the judges. The champion receives access to the lower training halls." "You noticed. Locked doors are usually more interesting when powerful men want me far away from them." She looked toward the Dean's Tower. "Be careful tonight." I promised nothing. Promises were expensive when the other person mattered. After she left, I lay beside Smoke and opened my branch vision. The black thread from the vial still led toward Ulrich. Before I could follow it, another root slid out of the darkness. It moved across the ground, entered the shed, and wrapped itself around my tree. It did not cut. It marked every branch I had opened. The system informed me that an external class authority had scheduled forced pruning during the public tournament. Someone under the academy knew exactly what I had become. At sunrise, the tournament board announced that I was forbidden to carry a weapon. The 20-foot board called my secondary response dangerous and ordered a forced evaluation. Until Ulrich finished it, I could enter only unarmed. Every student saw the notice above the gate. Bryce waited below it, with his arms folded. His rank had fallen to 78, but his place in the tournament remained. Apparently, using rage sap against children and monsters was not enough to interrupt a noble education. "You should withdraw," he said. "The final is mine." "You said that about the beast trial." "Yesterday was a mistake. The recording crystal captured several mistakes. One of them lost his trousers." Students near the gate laughed. Bryce's jaw tightened. "My father is watching today," he said quietly. "I will not lose." Fear crossed his face. His family gave its command to the strongest heir, and Bryce had 2 older brothers. That explained his desperation, but excused nothing. "Then fight better," I said. Iris met me after arguing with the judges for an hour. Her badge could not overrule a dean. "Ulrich signed the restriction himself," she said. "He also changed your bracket." She showed me the list. I faced a guard, a spearman, and Kellen, the highest-ranked first-year mage. Bryce faced 2 injured students and a baker. "Battle cook is a hidden branch," I said. "A baker is not a battle cook." Not with that attitude. Iris tried to remain angry. She failed for almost a second. Smoke waited with Hazel outside the gate. He could not enter, but our branch remained connected at twice the normal stamina cost. Serena stood beside them. She wore no sword. My appeal was rejected," she said. "Ulrich claims my lost skill proves I trained through an injury. We will obtain the lower hall key today." The tournament champion received 100 gold, first place in the combat ranking, and access to every academy training area. That included the sealed rooms beneath Ulrich's office. I had 3 reasons to win: money, evidence, Bryce's expression. 3,000 spectators filled the arena, while public crystals carried the matches across Greyhaven. The forced pruning mark tightened around my roots as I entered the sand. My first opponent was Pell, a second-level guard with a tower shield. "I have nothing against you," he said through the visor. "But I need the ranking points." "So do I." The bell rang. Pell charged. At the same instant, the black mark attacked Sword Student. The branch went numb from my shoulder to my hand. I released the sealed branch and activated Heavy Guard instead. Pell expected an unarmed swordsman trying to dodge. He did not expect another guard. Our shoulders met. His strength measured 14. Mine measured 18. His shield helped, but his surprise did not. He bounced backward, crossed the white boundary, and landed in the judge's water table. 6 glass pitchers broke around him. The match lasted 4 seconds. The front seats erupted. Pell raised both hands and requested a towel. The public board gave me the victory. My tournament rank rose from 64 to 32. Ulrich leaned toward the judge operating the pruning seal. They had blocked the correct branch and still failed. My second opponent, the spearman, watched the replay before entering. He kept his distance and aimed for my knees. The pruning mark disabled heavy guard this time. I shifted to sword student. Footwork did not need a sword. I crossed between two thrusts, caught the spear, and pulled him past me. He crossed the boundary without me striking him once. The crowd counted the match at 11 seconds. My tournament rank rose to 16. Rumors claimed my class changed hourly, or that the crystal had divided my soul. A merchant offered Iris 50 gold for my blood. She told him to provide his own. By noon, everyone knew the ordinary warrior had used two incompatible foundations. Ulrich could no longer hide that fact. He could only make sure I lost. Kellen entered the semi-final in a dark blue coat. 6 small crystals floated around his hands. He ranked 4th in the academy and had never lost to a close-range fighter. Unlike Bryce, he did not smile for the crowd. He looked at my empty belt. I asked the judges to return your sword. What did they say? They suggested I focus on my own match. Good advice, Stapsis Sosis. He raised one hand. I will not reduce my strength because Ulrich cheated you. Better advice, the audience quieted. Even the noble seats leaned forward. The bell rang. Kellen released 6 windblades. Each carried 24 points of force. They crossed the arena from different angles. Heavy guard could survive 2. The rest would cut through me. I used sword student footwork for 3 steps. The pruning mark attacked it. My right leg went numb. I switched to Beast Knight. Smoke's senses reached me from outside the gate. I heard each blade tearing the air. I ducked below the first, turned past the second, and let the third cut my coat. The remaining 3 struck the sand behind me. The audience shouted as one. Kellen was already casting again. A circle of blue fire formed around his feet. 12 bolts rose above him. Together, they carried more than 200 points of damage. I had crossed half the arena. My branch limit gave me 30 seconds before my legs failed. Kellen needed 4 seconds to release the spell. I activated Heavy Guard beside Beast Knight. The pruning mark cut Beast Knight. I returned to Sword Student. The Black Seal chased one path at a time. Every change cost me stamina, but every change forced Ulrich's operator to begin again. Kellen fired. I ran into the spell. The first bolt hit my shoulder. Heavy Guard reduced the burn. I released that branch before the seal closed and shifted left with Sword Student. 2 bolts missed. A 4th struck my side. The smell of burned cloth filled my nose. I kept moving. The distance fell to 10 feet. Kellen created a shield worth 60 points. I had no weapon and no skill for breaking magic. I had 1 second before his next spell. So I did something simple. I jumped over the shield. Magical barriers stopped attacks. They did not always stop people who were willing to look foolish in public. My foot touched the curved upper edge. I pushed off, crossed above Kellen's head, and landed behind him. He turned. I tapped the back of his neck with 2 fingers. The judge froze. Kellen lowered his hands. That would have been a blade, he said. I was not allowed one. He looked toward Ulrich. Then he faced the judge. I concede. 3,000 people stood. The crystal replayed my jump from 4 angles. Mages protested the result until Rolf told them sanity had not entered the tournament. My tournament rank rose to 2. Then the system recognized the condition I had completed. I had defeated a stronger mage without a weapon, without using magic, and without receiving help inside the arena. The hidden Spellbreaker branch opened. The victory gave me 20 growth marks. Its first node cost 20. I accepted. Every spell became woven lines. Kellen's shield had 36 knots and 1 weak seam. The pruning mark was a narrow spell, pretending to be an official command. My resistance to magic rose from 0 to 40. My strength rose from 18 to 22. I could not cast a spell. I could now break 1. Kellen watched the silver change move across my grey badge. You gained something. Yes. From beating me? Yes. He considered that. I would like a second match after I learn how to build a roof. He held out his hand. I shook it. The crowd cheered him too. A public defeat did not have to become humiliation when the person accepted it with honor. Bryce did not have that skill. The final began at sunset. The arena lamps burned red. Every seat remained filled. The public betting board placed Bryce at 3-1, despite my earlier victories. Noble money had confidence, even when evidence was standing directly in front of it. Ulrich returned my sword before the match. The judge carried it to me on a tray. When I touched the hilt, Spellbreaker showed a black seal hidden beneath the leather. The first time I used Sword Student, the seal would lock my arm and send the force back into my shoulder. I placed the weapon on the sand. I decline it. The judge looked relieved and frightened at the same time. Bryce entered with Ember Edge, a red-ringed family sword. The announcer claimed it increased fire damage by 50 points. Spellbreaker showed me a second hidden core inside it. The weapon carried 110 points of stored flame. Tournament rules allowed no more than 60. Iris stood beside the official measuring crystal. Ulrich ordered her to record the visible core only. She looked at him. Then she turned the crystal toward the hidden core. The public board flashed 110. Noise crashed across the arena. Ulrich rose from his chair. "Evaluator error," he said. Iris locked the reading. "The crystal was calibrated this morning." Bryce gripped the sword with both hands. His fear returned. "If I lose," he whispered, "I lose everything." "You tried to make that true for me," I said. The bell rang before the judges could stop us. Bryce released all 110 points. A blade of fire crossed the arena. It was 12 feet long and hot enough to melt the sand. Spectators screamed behind the barrier. Ulrich activated the pruning mark. It closed around Spellbreaker. He had finally chosen the correct branch. He was 1 second too late. I saw the flame's structure. 80 lines fed one bright knot near the center. I stepped toward it and struck with my bare left hand. Spellbreaker did not stop force. It broke rules inside magic. My fingers touched the knot. The fire split. 2 burning halves passed on either side of me and hit the arena wall. The barrier shook. My coat caught fire at the edge. I continued walking. Bryce stared at his sword. The hidden core cracked. Ember Edge broke into 3 pieces. The central shard landed at Ulrich's feet. The arena became silent enough for me to hear smoke barking outside the gate. Bryce stepped backward. "Stay away." He had no weapon. I had never carried one into the match. For the first time that day, the rules were equal. He threw a punch. Sword Student showed me the line of his shoulder. Heavy Guard absorbed the strike. Beast Knight gave me enough balance to turn without falling. I used no branch for the final blow. I placed one fist against his chest and pushed. Bryce crossed the boundary and sat down in the same water table Pell had broken that morning. The staff had replaced the pitches. They broke again. The judge raised my hand. The sound from the arena hit like weather. The public ranking board removed the gold color from Bryce's name. He fell from 78 to 140. Mine rose from 31 to number 1. Every public crystal in Greyhaven showed the same order. Recruiters crowded the gate. The merchant raised his blood offer to 200 gold. Iris told him hers cost more. Rolf presented the champion's purse before 3,000 witnesses. 100 gold struck the tray with a beautiful sound. He also gave me a bronze key marked for the lower training halls. "Try not to open anything alive," he said. "That warning seems unusually specific." Greyhaven is an unusually specific academy. My money rose from 25 gold and 3 silver to 125 gold and 3 silver. I walked directly to the payment office. The same clerk accepted 30 gold, restored my student badge, and offered to keep the remaining coins safe. I declined with great warmth. I had 95 gold and 3 silver, a legal room, strength of 22, magic resistance of 40, and academy rank 1. The crowd outside the office watched me attach the gold first-rank pin beside my grey, ordinary warrior badge. The two looked good together. Greta closed her dining house for an hour that evening. She roasted a whole chicken with butter, lemon, and herbs. The skin cracked under the knife. Soft rice absorbed the golden juices. There was onion soup, warm bread, and an apple tart covered in cream. Smoke tried to hide a chicken leg beneath the table. Greta found it with her shoe. Kellen joined us with a bandage around one wrist. Serena practiced holding a spoon with her damaged hand. Hazel drew the seal from the rage vial on a napkin. Iris sat beside me and touched the burn along my fingers. "Spellbreaker did not protect your skin," she said. "It broke the fire." "Your hand was inside the fire." "That was a separate problem." She applied cooling cream with more force than necessary. No one at the table cared that my badge said Ordinary Warrior. They cared whether I passed the bread and whether Smoke stole it first. That small room felt more valuable than the arena. After midnight, we returned to Greyhaven. The bronze key opened a narrow door below the main training hall. Stone steps led under Dean Ulrich's tower. Hazel touched the wall and found hundreds of class routes moving behind it. We descended 3 levels. The air became cold. Smoke stopped wagging his tail. At the bottom waited a black iron door. The same 3-root seal from the rage vial covered its lock. My champion's key opened it. Silver branches filled the room from floor to ceiling. Some were thin as hair. Others were wide as my arm. Each had been cut from a living student and stored inside glass pillars. I counted them through my branch vision. There were 317. Serena pressed both hands against the nearest pillar. Her lost sword resonance burned inside it. Iris found a ledger on the central table. The final page contained one line written that morning. The next shipment was ready. Commissioner Cassell of the Root Tribunal would arrive at sunset tomorrow to collect every branch. Behind us, the iron door closed by itself. Dean Ulrich's voice came from the darkness. "I had hoped the tournament would kill your curiosity, Riven." Ulrich stepped between the glass pillars with 4 academy guards behind him. Black armor covered his body, fed by silver lines from the stolen branches. His public level was 22. The roots inside him measured 48. "You took their skills," Serena said. Ulrich looked at her branch inside the nearest pillar. "I redirected unused potential. I was using it yesterday. And one exceptional branch completed this month's quota." Serena drew the short knife from her boot. The guards lowered their spears. I raised one hand. Fighting in a vault without public crystals or outside witnesses would give Ulrich everything he wanted. "What quota?" I asked. Ulrich studied me. "You are calmer than most people in this room. Panic has never improved a price. Then let us discuss one." He waved the guards back. The Root Tribunal required Greyhaven to send class energy to the capital each year. In return, it renewed the license, barrier, and training grant. "The official grant is 40,000 gold, Ulrich said. "Without it, this academy closes. 700 employees lose their work. 2,000 students return to villages that cannot train them. So you cut branches from the weakest students. Branches they would never develop. Serena was the best swordswoman here. His eyes hardened. The quota increased. I made a necessary choice. Hazel touched one of the pillars. 20% of the energy flows into you. Ulrich did not deny it. The city barrier requires a strong commander. My strength protects everyone above us. He had begun by obeying Cassel. Sacrifice became easier when it made him powerful. Ulrich approached me. I can register your hidden class as Royal Branch Knight. You will receive a private training hall, 500 gold, and a place in the capital tournament. Serena's talent will be returned. Your friends will be protected. And the other 316? I asked. They will never know what they lost. I know. Ulrich sighed. You believe this is a heroic choice. It is arithmetic. Refuse me, and Greyhaven loses 40,000 gold to save fragments worth less than 1/10 of that. You forgot one number. Which one? 317 owners. Ulrich's expression went flat. The guards surrounded us. 3,000 people had watched us leave dinner, so quiet murder was expensive. Ulrich charged us with entering the vault and stealing academy resources. Until the noon hearing, he locked us in a barred classroom with 3 magic seals. Smoke examined the lower hinge with his teeth. Do not eat the evidence, Iris told him. He moved to the upper hinge. At dawn, Greta arrived carrying breakfast. The guards searched her basket for weapons. They found warm cheese rolls, boiled eggs, smoked ham, and a clay pot of chicken broth. One guard inspected 3 rolls in detail before Greta hit his hand with a spoon. We ate on the floor around the basket. The rolls opened in clouds of steam. Sharp cheese melted into the soft bread. The broth tasted of pepper, celery, and roasted bones. Smoke received ham and sat so straight that he looked like a soldier applying for promotion. For 10 minutes, no one discussed stolen classes or public trials. Serena broke an egg with her left hand. Her right hand shook when she tried. I opened my branch vision. Below the classroom, 317 cut branches searched for their owners. Their roots touched one another, then mine. An ordinary warrior could become almost anything, so my roots shared a basic structure with every academy class. I could follow Serena's missing branch from the pillar to the wound in her hand. Seeing a path was not the same as controlling it. Still, every hidden branch opened through an action. I placed my hand over hers. This may hurt. Will it work? That is a different question. I followed the silver root downward. The stolen sword resonance pressed against my tree. I could have pulled it into an empty branch and kept it. The system showed that option clearly. I pushed it away. I returned the power to Serena without taking any part of it. Pain cut my palm as silver light entered her hand. A spoon jumped, and she caught it without looking. Hazel placed both hands on the floor. Her root closed. Iris took out her measuring disc. Serena's sword resonance climbed from 19 to 30, then 50, then 82. Her eyes became wet, but her voice remained steady. Give me a sword. Greta handed her the breakfast knife. Serena performed 7 cuts so quickly that the air snapped. A cheese roll separated into 8 equal pieces and landed on the plate. Smoke stole one. The system recognized another rare action. I had returned a stolen class branch while refusing the chance to claim its power. The deed gave me 25 growth marks and opened the hidden Mercy Guard path. I spent all 25 marks on its first node. My mana rose from 2 to 16. The new skill healed 30 points only while protecting or returning another person's property. It refused selfish training injuries. The system had opinions about my habits. Iris wrapped her fingers around mine. The black cut in my palm closed beneath pale silver light. "You can heal now," she whispered. "An ordinary warrior is a broad profession." Greta pointed her spoon at me. "Can it heal unpaid breakfast bills? That wound may be permanent." The door opened before she could answer. The guards escorted us to the awakening hall. Ulrich chose the hall where he had humiliated me. Every student watched my first-place name appear beside an accusation of class theft. Recording crystals floated above the crowd. Edwin, the student council president, read the charges. Entering a restricted vault, damaging academy property, attempting to steal 317 stored class resources, using an unregistered profession. The last charge drew angry whispers. Ulrich stood beside the cracked awakening crystal. Riven's tournament performance was impressive, he told the hall. But uncontrolled class growth has damaged his judgment. He entered the vault to absorb power that belongs to Greyhaven. Serena walked onto the stage. Her sword resonance appeared on the public board. 82. The hall erupted. Students who had watched it fall to 19 stood on their benches. Sword instructors demanded an explanation. Bryce stared at Serena's restored number as if it had returned specifically to insult him. Ulrich lifted one hand. "A temporary fluctuation proves nothing." "Then this may help," Iris said. She removed her evaluator badge and placed it against the central crystal. Evaluator badges recorded class negotiations. Ulrich had forgotten because Iris never raised her voice in the vault. His offer played through the hall. 500 gold, a false Royal Branch Knight registration. Serena's branch returned. The other 316 abandoned. Ulrich's own voice explained the annual quota and the 40,000 gold grant. No one whispered now. The recording ended with my refusal. Edwin turned toward the dean. "Are these students the academy resources named in your charge?" Ulrich looked across the crowd. "You enjoy simple stories," he said. "A cruel dean, stolen power, a brave student. None of you ask what happens when the city barrier fails." He struck the cracked, awakening crystal. Black roots burst through the stage. The doors sealed while the recording crystals stayed active. Silver fire covered his armor. Stolen sword, spear, healing, druid, and mage branches opened across his body. His public level changed from 22 to 48. Several students screamed when their weakened roots pulled toward him. "I kept this academy alive for 11 years, Ulrich said. "I will not let one child destroy it in 4 days." He drew a black pruning blade. The nearest instructors attacked first. Ulrich swept one hand. A stolen wind spell threw 6 adults across the hall. Everyone saw it. He was no longer controlling the story. He charged me. The blade cut Sword's student before it touched my skin. I switched to heavy guard. His second strike carried 90 points of force and sent me through the evaluator table. Wood and measuring stones covered the floor. I rose with one arm numb. Smoke entered through the side aisle. Beast Knight opened. Shared endurance raised mine from 17 to 31. Serena attacked beside him, her restored blade moving in silver arcs. Ulrich blocked her with a stolen sword technique. She recognized it. "That belonged to Master Elric," she shouted. "He retired after losing his grip." Its retired owner stood in the crowd with a shaking hand. Ulrich used the stolen technique where he could see it. Hazel drove both palms into the floor. Living roots cracked the stage and held the dean's boots for one breath. Iris moved the central recording crystal closer. Every stolen branch appeared across his armor as a different color. I saw the central seal beneath his breastplate. All 317 stored branches fed it through the vault. I combined Sword Student, Beast Knight, and Spellbreaker. My limit fell below 15 seconds. Ulrich cut Sword Student. I released it and opened Heavy Guard. His pruning blade cut Beast Knight. I released that too and kept moving with Spellbreaker alone. He expected me to attack his body. I struck the silver line entering his armor. The first seal broke. 31 branches tore free. They returned like falling stars. A healer recovered warmth, a spearman dropped his cane, and the old instructor's fingers steadied. The public board displayed every restored name. Ulrich's level fell from 48 to 44. The restored students shouted as their names returned to the board. The hall shook with voices. He looked at the numbers and attacked wildly. Stolen fire covered the stage. I used Spellbreaker to open a path through it, but the heat burned my legs. Mercy Guard healed 30 points and emptied half my mana. Serena cut the straps of his breastplate. Hazel's roots pulled the metal apart. The central seal became visible. It contained 316 knots. Serena's had already returned. I could break it, but loose branches did not always find their owners. Some wounds were years old. Without guidance, the power could burn out inside the hall. My tree touched every root beneath us. I opened Mercy Guard and Spellbreaker together. One branch broke the prison. The other showed the stolen power where home waited. Ulrich understood. If you return them, Casil will close Greyhaven. Then he can explain that in public, too. I hit the seal. The black core shattered. 316 branches filled the awakening hall with silver light. Each found a waiting root. The board changed too quickly to read as forgotten strength, mana, and talent returned. Ilan's healing power rose by 40 points. Rolf's damaged leg briefly formed a silver outline beneath the wooden one. Greta, watching through the dining house crystal, recovered the fire resistance she had lost 20 years earlier. Ulrich's stolen armor went dark. His level fell from 44 to 37, then 30, then 22. He stood on the broken stage in ordinary black metal, holding a pruning knife that suddenly looked very small. 3,000 students had watched him lose what never belonged to him. He swung at me once more. Serena caught his wrist. She removed the knife and placed it on the floor. Smoke sat on it. The hall laughed. Ulrich looked around at the restored students, the active recording crystals, and the public board showing his true level. His shoulders dropped. "You have no idea what comes next," he said. "That has been true every morning this week." Edwin ordered the Academy Guard to arrest him. This time, the guards obeyed. The Faculty Council opened Ulrich's private accounts before sunset. They found 3,000 gold in unreported tribunal payments. Greyhaven's charter awarded 10% of recovered corruption funds to the person who produced decisive evidence. My money rose from 95 gold and 3 silver to 395 gold and 3 silver. The council gave me Ulrich's workshop. In a public vote, 2,841 students named me provisional guardian of the vault. 49 opposed. Bryce voted twice before Edwin removed his second ballot. My class remained ordinary warrior. My reputation did not. That evening, Greta brought pumpkin stew to the new workshop. The broth was thick with beef, beans, and sweet orange squash. We ate it with toasted bread covered in garlic butter. Serena cut every loaf into perfect slices simply because she could. Hazel planted a small healing vine near the window. Smoke claimed the rug before I had placed it flat. Iris gave me a new evaluator copy of my grey badge. No false title, she said. No Royal Branch Knight. Just ordinary warrior. The most troublesome one in Greyhaven. She leaned against my shoulder. Neither of us moved away. For almost an hour, the room was warm and quiet. Then every city bell rang. 20 black carriages passed through the academy gate. Tribunal knights surrounded the awakening hall. Their armor carried the same 3-root seal as the vault. Commissioner Castle stepped from the first carriage in a white uniform. He looked at Ulrich in chains, the restored public board, and me standing beside the broken crystal. Greyhaven Academy is under quarantine, he announced. All local rulings are suspended. He raised a silver pair of shears. Black marks appeared around every class tree in the hall. Castle smiled at me. At tomorrow's public trial, you will surrender every illegal branch. If you refuse, I will take one branch from every student who applauded you today. By dawn, Cassell had turned my execution into a ticketed event. 3,000 filled the arena, and 60,000 bought crystal access. The tribunal called both halves of the income public safety fees. Knights sealed every gate while pruning marks held the students' trees. Greta still got breakfast through. She claimed stopping hot food during a siege violated 3 laws. None of the guards knew, so the baskets passed. We ate in my workshop while the city bells announced the trial. Greta brought buttered bread filled with eggs, cheese, and smoked beef, with fried potatoes and berry-sweetened tea. Smoke received 2 eggs. He swallowed the first and tried to look as if he had received only 1. Iris checked the black mark around my wrist. Kessel's shears conceal a complete class path from a distance, she said. He does not need to touch you. Only one path? The law assumes one person has only one. That was useful. While Serena and Hazel prepared, Kellen drew a spark rune in spilled flour. Any person with 10 mana can activate this, he said. The rune makes light, not damage. I have 16 mana. You do not have a magic foundation. I can see one. Rune Knight required me to cast structured magic after every martial branch was sealed. Yesterday's restoration had earned the exact 30 growth marks it cost. I would have to let Castle disable everything else. Iris studied my face. You have a plan. I have a direction. That is not the same thing. Plans become directions when the opponent is level 60. Cassell was a level 60 Root Warden with strength of 48, defense of 70, and mana of 120. I had 22, 15, and 16. If the trial became a fair fight, I would lose. Fairness had shown little interest in me so far. I felt no duty to wait for it. At the door, Iris adjusted my grey badge. Do not surrender because Cassell used a larger number. I was not planning to. The arena became silent when I entered. Cassell waited on a white platform. 7 provincial seals covered his uniform, and pruning shears hung at his side. Spellbreaker showed 612 class fragments inside them. The public crystal magnified our faces above the arena. The faculty sat under guard. Ulrich wore chains, while Bryce hid 3 rows behind him. Castle lifted one hand. 4 days ago, Riven awakened as an ordinary warrior. Since then, he has activated 5 mutually exclusive branches, interfered with licensed class collection, attacked an academy dean, and returned regulated resources without authorization. The crowd reacted to every phrase. The first sounded impressive. The second sounded worse only to people wearing tribunal seals. Today he will receive a lawful choice, Cassell continued. He may select one branch. The others will be removed. Greyhaven will retain its license, grant, and barrier. He turned to me. Choose Sword Student, Beast Knight, or Mercy Guard. I will give you a royal place suited to it. You may keep your money and rank. What happens to the 317 branches we returned? They will be reviewed individually. That means taken again. It means the law will decide. I faced the nearest recording crystal. Yesterday, the law was hidden under the academy. Voices rose from the seats. Cassell waited until they faded. You think choice is always good because yours made you strong. 140 years ago, a man combined a plague healer branch with a blood mage branch. He killed 60,000 people in 9 days. The root tribunal was created afterward. One person, one class, one branch. That rule saved this kingdom. He believed what he said. That made him more dangerous than Ulrich. Then punish combinations that cause crimes, I said. Do not cut children before they choose anything. The dead do not benefit from careful principles. Neither do the students you robbed. Castle's eyes became cold. You have not lived through class war. And Serena did not cause one. Applause began in the upper seats. It moved downward until most of the arena was standing. Cassell opened his left hand. The black marks around the students tightened. Hundreds cried out. Serena dropped to one knee. Hazel's green roots turned gray. Iris gripped the rail but did not look away from me. Their branches remain because I permit it, Cassell said. Do not confuse applause with power. He had made his threat public. That mattered. Proof by root allowed an accused person to challenge the official. Breaking his seal granted temporary recognition and his 1,000 gold bond. Iris had spent the night reading that old laws. I demand proof by root, I said. The judges opened law books as crystals repeated my demand. Refusal would release every mark and suspend Castle's authority. He stepped down from the platform. Accepted. A transparent barrier rose around us. The board displayed the 1,000 gold bond. Cassell's combat value was 920. Mine was 211. The difference drew a wave of shocked voices. Cassell removed the silver shears from his belt. You won 4 days of attention, he said. Do not mistake that for power. The bell rang. My sword student branch vanished. Cassell had sealed it without moving. He crossed 20 yards and struck my chest. Heavy guard opened, but his 48 strength threw me into the barrier. The board showed 38 health lost. The stands went silent. Cassell sealed heavy guard. I opened Beast Knight and borrowed Smoke's endurance. 1 silver cut made it go dark. I shifted to Spellbreaker and saw the next attack. 30 spells connected the shears to the arena, the judges, and every marked student. Breaking one line would do nothing. I needed the central command inside the tool. Cassell struck again. Spellbreaker split the magic, but his fist threw me across the sand. I lost another 26 health. No one could pretend I was winning. Cassell sealed Spellbreaker. I opened Mercy Guard and spent 30 healing points on my ribs. Pale light closed the worst damage. My mana fell from 16 to 8. 5 branches, Cassell said, all stolen from their proper paths. I earned each one. A criminal can work hard. He closed the shears. Mercy Guard disappeared. Every developed path in my tree had been sealed. The gray ordinary warrior trunk remained. Cassell walked toward me. The proof is complete. The judges checked the board. No legal branch meant defeat. My 22 strength fell back to 10. My defense fell to 3. My mana should have returned to 2. It remained at 8. Gained mana did not vanish. Cassell could seal a skill, not reverse 4 days of growth. Kellen's flower rune waited in my memory. I knelt and drew it in the sand with one burned finger. Cassell stopped. What are you doing? Failing in a new direction. I placed my palm on the rune. 8 mana entered it. A cupboard-sized spark appeared. 60,000 viewers reacted as if I had pulled down the sun. The system recognized structured magic cast by a warrior, with every martial path sealed. Rune Night opened, and I spent all 30 marks. The spark spread across my arms in lines of blue light. My mana capacity rose from 16 to 28, my current mana refilled by 12. My magic attack rose from 0 to 35. The board showed Rune Knight, then returned Ordinary Warrior beside it. 2 class paths occupied the board at once. Every tribunal judge stood. Cassell's calm expression finally broke. Impossible. That word has had a difficult week. He raised the shears. The seal left Spellbreaker and moved toward Rune Knight. That was what I needed. Spellbreaker reopened for less than a second. I saw the central command inside his weapon. I sent a Rune Knight spark into the shears before Cassell sealed the branch. Beast Knight reopened. Smoke's balance entered me. I avoided Cassell's next palm by 1 inch. He sealed Beast Knight. Heavy Guard reopened. I caught his wrist. He sealed Heavy Guard. Sword Student returned. I turned his arm and forced the shears toward the ground. Cassell understood too late. His seal could follow one branch. Every time it moved, another became free. I did not need 5 powers at once. I needed the correct one for half a second. He released 120 mana through the shears. Black light covered the arena. The marks around every student began to close. Cassell was trying to prune them before the duel ended. The crowd screamed. His own judges shouted for him to stop. That was the moment he lost more than a fight. The crystal showed a royal commissioner attacking his witnesses to avoid defeat. I opened Mercy Guard. The connected roots showed me where the threatened branches belonged. Cassell sealed it. Spellbreaker returned. The Rune Knight spark inside the shears reached the central command. I closed my hand. The command broke. Every black mark in Greyhaven vanished. The shears cracked from the tip to the handle. 612 stolen class fragments rose above the arena. His own weapon identified every fragment. Students, soldiers, healers, and children from 9 academies filled the crystal list. Cassell tried to hide the list. Iris locked the public record from outside the barrier. The names continued. 612. The fragments followed their roots home. Crystals reported a retired guard recovering his defense, a healer producing light after 12 years, and an old woman lifting a stone table. 60,000 distant voices became one roar inside Greyhaven. Cassell's white seals went dark. His combat value fell from 920 to 500. Then 300, then 170. His level fell from 60 to 52. Then 41. Then 29. The public board revealed his natural class, registry clerk. The silence lasted 1 breath. Then the arena laughed so hard that the barrier trembled. Cassell had spent years cutting ordinary classes from other people while hiding one of his own. He attacked me with the broken shears. His strength had fallen below mine with Sword Student active. I stepped aside, caught his sleeve, and guided him past me. He hit the white platform face first. The 7 silver seals fell from his uniform and rolled across the sand. Smoke slipped through the weakening barrier, picked up 1/2 of the shears, and carried it to my feet. I placed it on the official evidence table. Good boy. Smoke looked at Cassell. The arena laughed again. The tribunal judges declared the central seal broken. Proof by root belonged to me. My class branches received temporary royal recognition for 1 year. Cassell's authority was suspended. His 1,000 gold bond transferred to my badge before every witness. My money rose from 395 gold and 3 silver to 1,395 gold and 3 silver. The Royal Youth ranking appeared beside the Academy board. I entered at number 1. 4 days earlier, Greyhaven had placed me last among 1,204 students. Now, the same public crystals showed me first in the kingdom. 237 offers arrived. I declined them. Iris answered the merchant's final blood bid with a drawing of a turnip. The royal guard arrested Cassel under the eyes of his own judges. Ulrich watched the commissioner pass his barrier in chains. "You were right," Ulrich told me. He explained it in public. He could have chosen better words. The faculty council restored Greyhaven's license for 30 days under emergency law. The 40,000 gold grant remained frozen, but the city barrier did not collapse. Hazel's druids volunteered to maintain it while the academy investigated every stolen branch. No perfect solution appeared. For the first time, the choice belonged to the people paying its price. That night, the workshop could barely hold everyone. Greta filled the table with roast beef glazed in honey and pepper. There were buttered carrots, crisp potatoes, mushroom gravy, and fresh bread. Kellen brought a cake shaped like a cracked awakening crystal. When he cut it, blue cream spilled from 4,000 thin layers. Smoke ate the corner marked Ordinary Warrior. Serena challenged him for the piece and lost. Students showed restored skills until midnight. The old instructor performed his technique. Rolf stood on a silver image of his missing leg, and Greta laughed with one hand inside the oven flame. Power had returned to 612 people. My money had crossed 1,000 gold. My name stood first on 2 public rankings. The numbers mattered because the people behind them could finally see the change. When the last visitor left, Iris and I sat near the workshop window. The academy lamps shone below us. She took my burned hand and covered the fingers with cooling cream. "You keep putting this hand inside spells," she said. "It has experience. It has scars. Those are records of experience." She shook her head, smiled, and kissed my cheek. "That was not a reward from the system," she said. "Good. Why?" "I prefer rewards that choose for themselves." Her face turned red. She looked toward the window, but she did not release my hand. For one quiet minute, I believed the first battle was over. Then Smoke stood and growled at the floor. Every root beneath Greyhaven turned black. I opened my branch vision. The academy tree extended beyond the city. It joined 8 other schools, then crossed mountains toward the capital. 12,000 severed branches moved through the network like blood through veins. The 3 black stars above my tree opened their eyes. The system told me that I had completed the first of 3 conditions for Branchmaster. I had maintained 6 incompatible foundations and defeated an authorized Peruna. The second condition waited beneath the capital, where the first root of the class system remained alive. Something looked back through it. Deep below the royal palace, an ancient man opened his eyes for the first time in 300 years. His name appeared across every root. Vorin, the immortal founder of Greyhaven, the creator of the Root Tribunal, the first person who had tried to become a perfect warrior. His voice entered my tree. "At last," he said, "another person can see the whole forest." The roots beneath us rose like spears, and all 12,000 pointed towards me,